Good afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing to you TowerFall for the Nintendo Switch. So, this is the kind of game that's really easy to explain to someone who's reluctant to get into an indie game. Basically, it's kind of like Super Smash Bros., but all you do is run, jump, sometimes wall kick, and shoot arrows, and that's pretty much it. Now, this is primarily designed for multiplayer, so unfortunately, I didn't really have people willing to play it with me at the time of recording, so you're going to be seeing the single player footage. Thankfully, I did get a chance to try out the multiplayer mode, and it was amazing. Granted, your character dies after a single hit, so if you're like eliminated within seconds, as is most likely going to be the case, the game might not be that much fun for you. But if you like absolutely hectic, people yelling at the top of their lungs, like typical couch multiplayer back in the Nintendo 64 era and before then you're going to find Towerfall to be a blast. Even Smash Bros. Style, you can pick up various power-ups from chests that appear, such as a pair of wings to give you unlimited double jumps, a shield so that you can actually survive a hit, and different types of arrows that have various effects. If you thought the arrows in Breath of the Wild were impressive, you haven't seen anything yet. In order to keep things moving smoothly, because the matches don't actually have a time limit in the base game, there are also fire walls and poison walls that'll zoom in from the bottom or from the sides of the screen that'll crush the players if they spend too much time avoiding. So basically they want you to try to take out each other as soon as possible, which again isn't really that hard to do. We were able to get on a full 6-player match, and it was super easy to set up because you can play the game with the Joy-Cons held sideways. My friend happened to have 2 Nintendo Switches, not just one, so we just took my Joy-Cons and her 4 Joy-Cons, hooked them all to my Switch, and we were able to have 6-player action, and it was great. Now, when you play it in 4-player mode, the rules change a little bit, like sometimes the stage can rotate a bit. But overall, the experiences are mostly the same, and exclusive to the Nintendo Switch version is you can play as Madeline from the platformer Celeste, which was made by the same guy that made this. And given how well this game controls, I think I might actually be willing to give that game a try now, because I've been holding off because, me trying new things, not exactly as easy as I make it look on this channel. So as far as the single player mode, it's really unfortunate that this game is so designed around multiplayer that it seemed like the single player stuff is an afterthought. Basically, you have all of the stages available from the get-go, but instead of hitting other people, you have to hit dummies that are scattered throughout the stage. You can defeat the dummies either by hitting them with arrows or jumping on their heads, just like regular players. And so it turns the game into more of a puzzle aspect, which isn't really a problem in and of itself. But the issue is that it's really short. Like, if you know what you're doing, you can beat the single player trials in less than an hour. Heck, probably even less than a half hour if you really know what you're doing. Not only that, but this game has surprisingly few options. You can't play multiplayer online, which normally isn't really a complaint of mine, but if you don't have friends to play with right there in the room with you, then you're pretty much screwed. Like, if you really want to experience this game to the fullness, you have to have at least one friend. So if you're the antisocial type, or if you don't really have anyone else that owns a Switch or wants to play with you, I wouldn't recommend this game. Like, it's just way too short. Unless you get it for free or for like $1 on the eShop, you're better off just skipping it. In addition to that, you also don't have the option of playing against computer-controlled opponents in the single-player mode, which is weird because games like Super Smash Bros. 64 even gave you the option to play against computer opponents in the single-player mode, but this doesn't even have that. Granted, I like the variety of stages, and I do enjoy being able to experiment with the different powers that you have, but the game just loses like pretty much all of its charm once you take away the multiplayer antics, which are so much fun. Like I said before, I would recommend this only if you have multiplayer and local multiplayer because the game doesn't support online play. Maybe the creator said, well, you know what, by the time this game comes out, Nintendo's going to be releasing its really terrible online service, and I don't want people to have to pay more than what they're paying for this game, so we'll just skip the online altogether. Which I respect him for that. I can't really fault him, but I wish he would have added something to keep single players engaged. Nevertheless, this game has really fluid, responsive controls. The only issue I had was between wall jumping and pulling yourself up from an edge. Oftentimes the game would have trouble figuring out what I wanted to do, even if I tried using the same button presses the same time over. Otherwise, this feels like a very fluid platformer that could probably stand on its own really well if this were made as a side scroller. And I think if the creator finds that this game is successful, he could probably make an entire game along with this style of play, graphics, and even some surprisingly good music. With that, thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and don't get shot with an arrow. It hurts. Bye.